believe. Faith to believe. So I looked up Google University, Christianity Today. And I found these few facts. As of 2023, there are approximately 2.4 billion Christians in the world, making Christianity the world's largest religion. This represents about 1/3 of the world's population. The three largest Christian groups are the Catholic Church, Protestantism, and the Eastern Orthodox Church. The United States has the largest Christian population in the world with 253 million Christians. Brazil and Mexico have the second and third largest Christian populations with 185 million and 118 million Christians, respectively. The global south, or the rest of the world, has more than 1.3 billion Christians, while the global north, North America, Europe, Australia, Japan, and New Zealand, have about 860 million Christians. And with all these numbers, it's still only 1/3 of the population. I thought, man, that's a lot. But even with that, I would like to say that every Christian, if I can shake you up a little bit tonight, every Christian is not necessarily a believer. Some people were born into the faith. Some people, it was tradition for their family to be Christians. You grew up in a Christian household, so you have those that go to church on Easter and Christmas. You don't find what there's, if I can call it, an unshakable belief in Christ, an unshakable belief in the Bible. And with today's world and the way things are happening, it's not that surprising, because there's so many things that distract us from the Bible, so many things that distract us from God, so many things that can come and try to poison our faith. So with that many Christians, the question is, how many believers are there? Okay, so I want to look at faith. I like words. I like to define words, and I wanted to go to the Bible's definition of faith. I'm going to read it in two versions. Hebrews 11:1 in the New Living Translation says, "Faith is the confidence that what we hope for will actually happen. It gives us assurance about things we cannot see. It's confidence of what we hope for will actually happen and gives us assurance about things we cannot see." In the King James Version, it says, "Now faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen." Faith, confidence, evidence. If you have any children, you've had a child who's gotten into some food or something that they probably should not have. And you may ask them, "Did you eat the cookies?" And they might say, "No. No, Mom. No, Dad, I didn't." But the evidence is on their lips. So you can ask again, "Did you eat the cookies, son?" No, Mom, I really didn't. I really didn't. But the evidence is on your lips. Okay? Evidence is something that is tangible. It's hard to argue with. You have confidence. I'm confident that this is a white wall. Anybody want to argue with me on that? No, it's a white wall. It's a vanilla wall. Okay, all right. It's a vanilla wall. It's a cream wall. Okay, variations of white. All right. This is a white wall. I'm confident that this is what this is, but I'm confident because of my experience with colors and with structures. When you stick your key in your ignition of your car, you are confident that that car will crank, hopefully, based on your experience. The car will crank. You're confident in that. You're confident before you sit down in your chair that that chair is going to hold you. And you sit down without thought as to whether or not you're going to fall on your behind. Confidence. Faith is confidence and evidence. Faith is confidence and evidence. I went through that because the sole reason we're here is to understand what it means to have faith, that kind of faith, and that kind of confidence in the one who brought us here. John chapter 1, verses 1 through 4 says, in the beginning was the Word was with God, the Word was God. The same was in the beginning with God, and all things were made by him, and without him was not anything made that was made. In him was life, and the life was the light of men. This is the King James Version. Beginning was the Word was with God, Word was God. Okay. There was a man sent from God whose name was John. The same came for a witness to bear witness of the light, that all men through him might believe. The reason John was here, the reason John existed, the reason he lived, his whole purpose was to be what some will call the forerunner for Christ. He went around preaching about this Messiah that would come. His whole intent was so that others would believe. He was in the world, back to Jesus, he was in the world, and the world was made by him, and the world knew him not. He came unto his own. In other words, he came to the Jews. When the Bible says his own, referring to the Jews. He came to his own, and his own received him not. But as many as received him, to them gave he power to become the sons of God, even to them that believe on his name. Now we'll do a name series soon, because that's a big one. But to them that will believe on his name, as many as received him, he gave them power to become the sons, those that will believe on his name. That's why he was here. Okay, he was here so that they would believe. The Messiah had been promised to the Jews for years, for centuries. They were told a Messiah was coming. The Messiah is coming. The Messiah is coming. The problem with this is that they were told for so many years that when he came, they didn't want to believe him. They didn't want to believe him. It's like promising, again, if we use our children, promising, I'm going to get you that bike for Christmas. Next year, I'm going to get you the bike for Christmas. Next year, I will get you the bike for Christmas. I'm going to get you the bike for Christmas. After a while, all right, Mom. That's okay. You don't even have to say it anymore, really. They stop believing. It's a notion. If it shows up, cool. If it doesn't, they stop believing. So the prophecy of Christ had been going on for so long that they did not want to believe that he was who he said he was. So to believe, if we go back to the original text, or the original definitions in the text, to believe means to commit to trust. Commit to trust. Now, the title of our class tonight is Faith to Believe. So faith is confidence. Faith is the evidence. Believing is committing to trust. Faith, confidence, evidence, believing is committing to trust. So if you have faith in something, then you have to commit to trust in that something. Now, I used a couple of different scenarios. I used your car. I used your chairs. I think I used something else. I can't remember. The cream white, off-white wall. Yeah, we use those things. All those things you can see. Our job is to try to get you to believe in something that you say you believe in that you cannot see. How do I get you to believe in something that you cannot see? Well, if I were to use the car example, none of you see it cranking. You turn your key and the car cranks, but you don't see it cranking. You just know every time you turn that key, it should start, right? How do we believe in something that we say we have faith in? Because our faith, the basis of our faith is Christianity. So how do we believe something where the basis of it, or the object of our faith, which is God, we cannot see? Well, how much of experience have you had with God to know that every time I needed him for this, he was there? Every time I prayed to him for this, he was there. Most of us have enough experience with God that our belief to commit to trust in him came from the evidence that he has operated for us, that he has done some things for us. The reason, the fact that we are breathing, if we're going to commit to believing the Bible, we're going to commit to trusting in the scriptures, then we also commit to believing that in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. In the beginning, he made man in his image and after his likeness. In the beginning, he breathed into us the breath of life. In the beginning, he spoke the trees and oceans and stars and lights and things into place. In the beginning, he did all of those things. So this is the evidence for the object of our faith, which is God. We can't see him, but we can see what he's doing. We can't see him, but we can see how he's operating. The job is to continue to believe and commit to trusting in the object of our faith. Does that make sense? Okay. Let's look at an example. Oh, wait, before we do that, I want to look at Hebrews chapter 11, verse 6. This is the New Living Translation. It reads, "And it is impossible to please God without faith." Do we all want to please God? We all want to please God. Can I get... All right. All right. Let's just make sure we're on the same page with that. All right. And it is impossible to please God without faith. Anyone who wants to come to him must believe that God exists and that he rewards those who sincerely seek him. Now, the Bible shouldn't have to say that we have to believe that he actually exists. Another book may have to say that. But the Bible should not have to say that we have to believe that he exists. Because 9 times out of 10, if you don't believe that he exists, you probably wouldn't be reading the Bible. It is our holy book. It is what we believe. It's the basis of our faith, right? So believe that God exists. To me, the reason why this is important, let's go back to what we said earlier, and that is we can't see him. So there are things that will happen in our lives that will cause us to question if he exists. If I lost someone dear to me that I don't think I should have lost. If I lost something dear to me that I don't think it was just that it was taken from me, I might question whether or not this God that I said I believed existed. And so what I would be doing is going back on the faith, the confidence, the evidence of things he's done in the past. I'd be going back on that faith because now my belief, I'm no longer committed to trusting that because something happened to me that was traumatic for me. Why did he do that to me? Why did he do that to me? And I can't see him. I can't call him on the phone. I can't go to his house and say, hey, Father, why did you do this? I can't see him. But we can't allow that to happen if our faith is the evidence and the confidence we have, and our belief says I'm committed to that faith. I have to believe that he exists and that he's going to reward me because I'm going to sincerely and continue to seek him. I'm going to be looking after him and looking for him. We're okay. Amen. All right. Let's read. We're going to read about Moses. I'm sorry, Abraham. Want to go to the Old Testament, and if we have time, which we should, one passage out of the Old Testament and one out of the New Testament. But the Bible, or scholars call Abraham the father of faith. And there's a lot of things that Abraham did that gave him that title. But we want to read into one of them. Genesis chapter 22, verses 1 through 3. My version is the New Living Translation, the one I'm using tonight. It says, sometime later, God tested Abraham's faith. Abraham, God called. Yes, he replied. Here I am. Take your son, your only son, yes, Isaac, whom you love so much, and go to the land of Moriah. Go and sacrifice him as a burnt offering on one of the mountains which I will show you. The next morning, Abraham got up early. He saddled his donkey and took 2 of his servants with him, along with his son Isaac. Then he chopped wood for a fire for a burnt offering and set out for the place God had told him about. Now, I don't believe Abraham talked to Sarah. Now, that's just my 2 cents. I don't think he talked to her because I don't know what mother would say. You're going to do what with our son? I don't think Abraham talked to Sarah. Doesn't either here nor there. That's not in the scriptures. Verse 4 says, on the 3rd day of the journey, Abraham looked up and saw the place in the distance. He says, stay here with the donkey. The boy and I will travel a little farther. We will worship there, and we will come right back. Let's go back. Take your son, Isaac, and sacrifice him as a burnt offering on one of the mountains. Now, as far as I know, a sacrifice is killed, right? Sacrifice is burnt. You set it on fire. Yeah, you burn it. Abraham says, the boy and I will travel a little farther. We're going to worship there, and we will come back. Something's not really adding up. Abraham knows what he's supposed to do with his son. But Abraham has enough history with God to know this is his evidence. This is his confidence. He has enough history with God to know that Isaac is the son that God said I would have. So why would he ask me to go and kill this son that I said I would have? I'm just going to believe that he's got something up his sleeve. We're going to take this wood and this fire, and I'm going to lay him on this altar, but we're going to come back. My servant's going to wait here, and we're going to come back. Now, in Hebrews, if you read it, it says that Abraham believed that God would actually, if he had killed him, he believed that God would have raised him from the dead. But that was his faith. That was his belief. That was his confidence and his trust in God. So much so that he told his servants, we're coming back. He also had his son a little confused. So Abraham placed the wood for the burnt offering on Isaac's shoulders, while he himself carried the fire and the knife, as the 2 of them walked on together. Isaac turned to Abraham and said, Father, yes, my son. Abraham replied, We have the fire, and we have the wood. But where is the sheep? What are we burning? Where's the sheep? Isaac knew enough about sacrifices too to know that something was missing. So he's wondering, where is this sacrifice? I pulled this verse from the King James Version because I like the way it reads better than the New Living Translation. It says, Abraham said, my son, God will provide himself a lamb for a burnt offering. So they went both of them together. What I like about this particular verse is that although Abraham did not know exactly what God was going to do, he had enough faith and confidence that God was going to do something. He didn't know how it was going to turn out. He just knew that if God is asking for this, he's going to provide me something for this. If this is what he's asking for. Because I also know that he's not a cruel God. He doesn't play these kinds of games. So if he's asking me to go and do this to you, he's going to provide himself a sacrifice. This is the faith that he had. So when they arrived at the place where God had told him to go, Abraham built an altar and arranged the wood on it. Then he tied his son Isaac and laid him on the altar on top of the wood. And Abraham picked up the knife to kill his son as a sacrifice. And at that moment, the angel of the Lord called to him from heaven, Abraham, Abraham. Yes, Abraham replied, here I am. Don't lay a hand on the boy. The angel said, do not hurt him in any way, for now I know you truly fear God. You have not withheld from me even your son, your only son. So God would not allow Abraham to kill his son. And I don't think God was confused about what Abraham would do. What I do believe is that sometimes God will put us or allow us to go through things so that we can see your faith is strong enough to handle even this. Your faith is strong enough to handle this. And if you can get through this, there are going to be other things that are going to come that you're going to need to have and maintain this same kind of faith. I'm not confused about who you are. I just want you to be sure about who you are. This whole scenario didn't catch God by surprise, but it was an opportunity for Abraham to see how strong his faith was. And not just Abraham. It was an opportunity for Abraham's son to see how strong his father's faith was. Because Isaac got to carry on his father's legacy after he was done. So this even gave Isaac a lesson in faith and hearing God and obeying God no matter what the ask is. Do what I'm asking and don't worry about the outcome. I'll take care of this. Okay? This is what I believe God was doing here, was showing Abraham what he could endure. And then, of course, made it an example for us so that we could follow along with him. Our New Testament passage, and then I should be closing after this. New Testament. So I've been talking a lot about faith and trust, confidence, evidence, committing to trust, having faith no matter what. Here, I believe it will tie it all together. Matthew 21, verses 18 through 22, in the Amplified Version of the Bible reads, now early in the morning, as Jesus was coming back to the city, he was hungry. Seeing a lone fig tree at the roadside, he went to it and found nothing but leaves on it. And he said to it, never again will fruit come from you. And at once the fig tree withered and it dried up. When the disciples saw it, they were astonished and asked, "How is it that the fig tree has withered away all at once?" Jesus replied to them, "I assure you, and most solemnly say to you, if you have faith, personal trust, and confidence in me, and do not doubt or allow yourself to be drawn in two directions." That's the key point here for us. Do not doubt or allow yourself to be drawn in two directions. You will not only do what was done to this fig tree, but even if you say to this mountain, "Be taken up and thrown into the sea," it will happen if God wills it. What I want you to leave here tonight with is the mentality, is the tenacity, the will to say, I won't be double-minded. I won't go back and forth in my faith. I'm going to believe that God exists. I'm not going to doubt. No matter what comes up against me, no matter what happens, I'm going to believe God. No matter what the world is turning to, no matter what they're saying, no matter what's going on, I'm going to believe God. I'm going to have faith in God, and I'm not going to be doubting about it because of my history with Him, because of what I've seen Him do throughout my timeline. Not Abraham's timeline, not Isaac's timeline, not my father's timeline or my mother's timeline, but for what I've seen Him do throughout my timeline. The confidence that I have in Him because of what my experience has been with Him. I'm not going to be doubting because something gets tough, because something gets hard, or because something goes against even what I desire it to be. Because if God wills it, then He must have a plan for it. If He wills it, then there must be some type of purpose in it. And if that's the case, then I just have to have my personal trust and confidence in Him. If you have faith, the King James Version says, if you have faith and doubt not. If you have faith and doubt not. Faith and doubt not, which means those two will try to ride together. Faith and doubt will try to ride together. But you got to put doubt out the car. You have to kick doubt out of the window. Because we can only have faith. We can only have faith. God can operate through your faith. He can't operate through your doubt. And we're going to dig into those things with our next class, Faith for Healing. There's a lot of scriptures that we will read where Jesus will say, according to your faith. According to your faith. And I know I'm not the only one here that needs God to do some things for me. I need Him to work some things out in my life and on my behalf, that I need to make sure that I don't have doubt that He's going to do it. Amen? Yeah. Now, I will say that with my history, I've gotten a little bit stronger, but I have a history with God that no matter what it looks like for me, I've seen Him come through for me time and time again. Time and time again. It may not always look like I wanted it to look, but He never left me forsaken, as the scripture says. He's never left me forsaken. So I don't have a choice but to have faith in Him. I don't have a choice but to keep believing Him. So no matter what anybody else is doing, I gotta believe. I gotta believe.